Good morning, everybody. My name is Jordan Bogart, and today I'll be teaching the Church360 Unite Getting Started and Setup webinar. Just a second, I have to do one thing here real quick, just for your benefit. Let me go ahead and do that. Okay, there it is. All right, so like I said, Church360 Unite Getting Started and Setup webinar. So like I said, you can see me there. My name is Jordan Bogart. I've been with Concordia Technology Solutions for a little over 4 years now. You can see there's my contact information there. So there's my email and then my phone number. So if you need to get a hold of me, you can do that there. I do want to let you know that all phones and microphones have been muted. So type any questions you guys might have into the questions window, and you can see that if you look at the toolbar there on the right side of your screen, there should be a little questions pane. So if you have any questions, just go ahead and ask those questions there. And assisting me today is my manager, Rod Kiles. He is the manager of Concordia Technology Solutions support department. So you can see there's his contact information there. So if you have any questions for Rod, go ahead and contact him either by email or by phone. All right, so what are we going to be talking about today? Well, today we're going to be talking. I'm just going to go ahead and give us do a quick rundown of what we're going to be talking about today. So we're in the middle of kind of our overview right now, of course, and then we're going to get into the discussion of what, like I said, the different things we'll be talking about today. So we're going to be doing that for about half the time, and then we're going to come into a 5-minute intermission. That'll happen about halfway into this webinar. So expect around 10:45, and we're talking Central Time, of course. So, but we may go a little over, we may go a little under, and then we'll get back into discussion here. So we'll cover the remainder of what we're going to be talking about today. There will be a quiz at the end of class. No pressure on this. This is just to help you guys, kind of retain some key points from this. But no pressure on this. Nobody's keeping score on this one here. And then finally, there's a Q&A session here at the end. So if you have any questions, and of course you can ask questions through the course of the webinar too, but I'm just going to open up the floor at the end. If there's any final questions you have for me in the webinar for the day, you can ask them there. Okay, so what are we going to be covering today? Well, we're going to be going over the settings menu. So there's a lot of different things in there. Your account information. So basically, who your church is. You can put all that information in there. So who and where and what, all that information. We'll be talking about domains. So you can get a custom name for your website. Makes it a little more easily identifiable and kind of helps out with branding a little bit. And of course, there'll be other settings in here as well. So when we get to those, we'll look at that. Okay. We're going to also be talking about themes. So themes are the general look and feel of your site. So we're just going to browse through a few of those, and you can kind of see how those are different and the different ways those all work. We'll also be talking about styles. So this is how your text actually looks through your site. And so we can use the styles menu to see how you can create uniform styles to use throughout your site to really give it a professional look, and also how to customize our themes. So we offer some themes and you can use them straight out of the box, but if you need to make a few customizations, you can do that too. And of course, there's also more we'll be covering as well. All right. We'll also be talking about pages. So basically how to do different things with pages, basically hide pages for a certain time or make them members only. We have ways to do that. We can talk about adding new pages and how to categorize them together and kind of organize them so easily, so it makes your site sort of orderly. And then also how to modify pages. So we'll get into the actual creation of pages and how we can use the tools available to us in 360 Unite to make pages. Finally, we'll also talk about feeds and posts. So what that is sort of like blog posts, and you can even link these to RSS, like an RSS reader to have like an RSS feed. So then we'll have our quiz at the end of class, like I mentioned, and time for a Q&A session. So with all that being said, I think we're ready to get started here. So let's get started. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn off my webcam here. This is just so you can see more of the screen. So I'm going to turn that off. There we go. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to minimize our PowerPoint here. Okay, so Getting started out here, like I said, we are on our demo page here for 360 Unite. This is our demo page for Christ Community Church, and you can see up here we actually have a custom name up here, christbakersville.org. And so that kind of leads me to the first point here about domains. Now, by default, 360 Unite has your subdomain .360unite.com. Now, when we look at that, that's probably, maybe a lot for your congregation to type in or remember. It's like, why do we need to remember that 360 Unite part? Well, with the custom domain, what that does for us is, like I said, you can get your own custom site name. Now, again, nobody else can have that name, so you may need to do a little bit of research first before you pick your name, and then you can attach that name to your site. We'll get into how to do that in just a few minutes, but you see, it's really very handy to have. So if we go in here, then let's go ahead and sign in. So I'm just going to sign in here to our generic administrator account here. Now, when you sign in, of course, you can with the sign in menu here, you can check this Remember Me box if you want it to remember your information. If you're on a public computer, you probably don't want to do this because then, anybody else comes to the computer and comes to this website, they're just automatically logged in. So you probably don't want that, but on your own private computer, that's fine. And then also here, if you forget your password to log in, you can click this Forgot Your Password option, put in your email address, and it will go ahead and it will send you a link to reset your password. You also have the option of signing in with your Facebook account or your Google account here as well. So you can link those to your login if you prefer. So I'm going to go ahead and log in here now. Okay. And that's going to get us in. Now, you can also save it in your web browser up here too. And I'll just tell you to take sort of the same precautions here. If you're on a public site, a public computer, you probably don't want to do that. But if you're on your own personal computer, that's fine. Okay, so when we look at this here now, we can see here up at the top, we have a search bar, which is always very handy. You can use this to search within your site. So if you're looking for a particular element, but you don't know where that is on your page, you can use a search bar up here. You're also going to see a few settings up here. So it'll say, welcome Kent. Our generic login is named for Kent Williams. So that's why it says Kent there. So you're going to see three parts to that. So the first one here, it lights up and underlines here when it says Kent. If you click on that, it's just going to take you to his profile here on the page. Now we'll get more into those in our training tomorrow about profiles and things like that. But this will take us into our profile. We also have our settings menu here, and these are personal settings here. So if you need to go in, you need to change your login email, you can do that here. You can also change your username. If you want to change your password, you can come into where it says password here. You'll just type in your new password here, your new password again here, and then whatever your current password is. And you want to put it, and if you're going to make any changes at all, you have to put in your current password here before you press update to kind of confirm those changes. You can also go ahead and link your Facebook or Google account here as well. So if you're going to do that, you can do that there. All right, let's go back. So we can go back to our home page here. And then there's also the sign out option here too. So when you're done on your page, for security reasons, you probably just want to sign out when you're done. All right, let's take a look at our settings here. So when we go to our settings, what we can see here is we're going to be the first thing we're going to see here is our usage meter. Now, 360 Unite, you do have a limited amount of storage unless you're on the very top tier plan, which is a premium plan that offers unlimited storage. So if you have that, you no need to worry about this at all. But with 360 Unite, you basically have a limited amount of storage. So on a demo account, you get 500 megabytes, so not a lot of space, but enough to try things out. Standard accounts get 2 gigabytes, and advanced accounts get 10 gigabytes. So, and what this usage is actually tracking is all the files, all the images, all the videos, and audio you have uploaded to your page. That's what this usage is tracking. So the more content you have on your page, the more you're going to use up how much storage you guys have. But as you can see here, we're using 434 megabytes basically. So that's just under a quarter of what you would have used on a standard site. So you can see you have some space to work with here. All right, so now we have our church information down here. So this church information, this is what's going to display in the footer of your website. So you can see here, you can see all this information. If you close this page and go all the way to the bottom here, it's kind of hard to see. And we need to update that copyright, but you can see it's actually going to go ahead and list your church name, your address, which actually links to Google Maps if you click on it, your church's phone number, and an email address, which if you click on that, it'll allow you to send an email. And you can see all that is right here. So if we were to add a 1 to this, click Save Changes, we go to the bottom, you can see that 1 actually comes in there. Okay, take that back out. So any of that information you can change. And the last bit here, the time zone, that actually plays in to our calendar. So when we look at our church calendar inside of 360 Unite, it does depend on your time zone. Now it's nice, like let's say, daylight savings time ends here, for example. When having the correct time zone, it'll actually make sure that your events shift times appropriately if needed. So it's going to display the correct time zone for you when you look at your calendar page. So you can see that there in your calendar page. Okay. All right, so let's actually talk about calendars now. That's kind of the perfect segue into our calendars. So, all right, looking at calendars. Now, when we talk about calendars, there's kind of 2 different pieces of terminology that have the same name in the Church 360 world when it comes to calendars. And this is true of 360 members and 360 Unite. There are calendars, and like we're seeing here, these are all individual calendars. What this is talking about is groupings of events that go together. So, for example, here you're going to have like your birthday calendar. You're going to see events, basically people's birthdays on this list here. And so that's a grouping of events that you can choose to show on your calendar view. And this is what we're talking about when we talk about the calendar view. This is a collection of, the calendar page here is actually a collection of calendars, and you can control up here at the top right corner of the page what you would like to see. So you can see there's a lot of different options there on what you want to see. So let's say, all right, we didn't really want to see this education calendar, so you can take that off and you can see how that changes this page. Okay, so go back to calendars here. Now, there's a couple different types of calendars, and I want to just discuss those really quick. So you can see up here at the top, the first one you're going to see is a group calendar. These come from group pages inside of 360 Unite. Now we'll go into more detail tomorrow on groups and how they work, but these are actually controlled from the group page. You'll even see is that this is required by the 20s and 30s small groups and can be changed in the group settings. So if you go into that group and you can adjust the visibility of that calendar, so you can see actually here, when we try to change it, it actually just gives us a little the circle with the slash right here indicating we can't change this because we can't change it from the screen. We have to do so from groups. So like I said, we'll talk more on groups tomorrow. All right, next up here, we have a calendar with a lock on it. Now what that means is this is required by Church 360 members. You do see calendars from Church 360 members here. Now, you can change the visibility on this, so if you don't want to have people be able to see the baptism calendar here on your 360 Unite site, you don't have to let them see that. You can have it visible to nobody. The other options you have here is you can make it visible to users, which means you'll only be able to see this calendar if you're logged into the site. And then finally, everyone, and then that means it doesn't matter if you're logged into the site or not, anybody has the option of being able to see this. And when I say anybody has the option to be able to see this, that's going back here where this controls, the visibility controls what shows up over here and what you can show on your calendar page. Okay, going back to calendars. So that's what this lock icon means. It means it's coming from 360 members and it's required by that page. All right. Finally, the ones without any icons at all, these were created inside of 360 Unite, and you have full reign over those. You can kind of do what you'd like with those. So you can change the visibility, you can change the name, anything like that you can change. You'll notice like you can change the name of this one, but you couldn't go and change the name of the birthday calendars because that comes from 360 members. So you can do really anything you'd like with this one. Now you'll notice here it'll actually tell you if a calendar is disabled or visible to nobody, or this is actually going to tell you what status each calendar has, so you can kind of get at a quick glance what everything, how everything is showing. Now disabled, what that means here, for example, that means you just can't change the calendar from this page. That's why you're seeing that sort of nobody there, because with this, we don't have control over this over here. You might have also noticed there's these gray minus signs. They turns red whenever you move your mouse over them. If you want to delete a calendar, click on the minus here, and you can click delete, and that will get rid of that calendar. You'll notice here, though, we can't. You'll notice here, you can delete that. You can try to delete that calendar from there. I don't believe that will work though, and you can't. And if you try to delete this one, it says baptisms required by 360 members can't be deleted. So it's not going to let you delete that one. Okay. Now you might have noticed here at the very bottom, there's an option here that says include events from my Google Calendar. So what will happen here is a little pop-up window will come up. So you have to actually allow pop-ups real quick. Click done. And let's go ahead and actually refresh the page here. So then a pop-up window will come up, and this is going to give you a sign-in to your Google account. Now, you can have Google Calendars show up on your web page. We do integrate with Google Calendars. There's kind of a few things you'll need to do on the Google side of things. Number one, if you're going to have a Google Calendar and you want it to be visible to the public, one, you probably want to make that an account you create at the church, and you keep that information with the church, because that way if somebody moves on from the church, somebody else still has access to that Google Calendar. So if you need to make any, if they need to do anything on the Google Calendar later, they have that account information at the church, so they can do so. So it's best usually not to have it be a personal account. But with Google Calendars, then you can actually, instead of working from 360 Unite, you can use Google's tools to build a calendar there. The other thing you'll want to do is you'll want to make this calendar on the Google side a public calendar so everyone can view it, because otherwise the problem you'll run into is you'll be able to view it because you're signed into it. But then if anybody else tries to look at it, well, it's not going to show up because it's not a public calendar, so it's not going to be able to pull the information properly over. So you need to set that calendar as a public calendar from inside of Google if you want to do that. Now, once you've integrated with Google Calendars, you'll see all your calendars on that Google account show up over here, and it'll be just like any other calendar you can control here. So you wouldn't be able to delete Google Calendars directly from here, but you can control the visibility of those calendars from here too. So you want to make all your Google Calendars public, but then if you want to restrict those calendars on the Unite side, you can do so by saying, okay, only members can see this one, or everyone can see this one, or I don't want to show this one. So you can kind of pick and choose how you want to work with those. You might have also noticed these dots here, these green dots, but in some cases blue and red dots over here as well. This is the color that each event will show up under whenever you have an event on the calendar for it. So if we went over to our contemporary calendar here, you can see it lets us pick from a selection of different colors for our dots. So let's go ahead and maybe make this do a blue. And actually, let's do this. You can see the worship calendar is purple here. Let's change it to blue. And if we close out of this page, refresh our page, you can see now those events show up as blue. So of course, it's a visual thing. You can change the colors of those calendars. Some people use this as sort of as sort of an impromptu way to group your calendars together. So if they're calendars of a similar topic, it might be a good idea to make those all the same color. So for example, if you have multiple youth calendars, maybe like a youth missions calendar and then just a generic youth group calendar, and you have kind of multiple calendars that would kind of fall into a similar category, it might be a good idea to make those all the same color, just as a visual way to kind of say, okay, here's a purple event, it's a youth event, I need to take a look at that. Or and so you can kind of use that as a way to group your calendars in a way. So finally, if you want to create a new calendar here from 360 Unite, so that youth calendar is probably a good idea for that. So we'll say youth missions. So you just type that up at the top, click create calendar. It'll show up here at the bottom now. And then you can go through and you can change the color on that, change the visibility, and that'll get that already on the calendar page. So all right, so that's calendars. Moving on from that, let's talk about domains. So I did mention domains briefly earlier. You might notice now that I'm logged in, it's showing our 360 Unite page here, demo.360unite. That's the actual subdomain name of this page. So instead of christbakersville.org, it's actually demo.360unite.com. That's the subdomain for 360 Unite. Whenever you sign in, you're going to see your subdomain again. And that's just, and like I said, that's just, basically the domain is just to get people to your site in a more identifiable way. But if you want to apply a domain to your site, domains are something that we offer to customers who are at the advanced level and above, along with their subscription. But if you're a standard level customer and you'd like to purchase one, you can contact your salesperson and they can discuss pricing on those with you. You also don't necessarily have to go through us. You can purchase a domain through another domain provider as well. And if you'd like to do that, you have that option as well. In any event, whether you get the domain from us or whether you get it from another source, what you'll need to do once you have your domain is you'll need to apply certain settings to it so it can link to your 360 Unite page. So when we look at this here, we go to our domains. This is the information you need to put in the host records for your domain if you guys don't have the domain through us. So lots of different ways. Some domain providers are self-managed, like GoDaddy, for example, is a self-managed domain. So these are the host records you would need to put in to your site, to your domain, in order to connect it. Not this specifically. You're going to see your site with the subdomain here in this section. But this is basically the information you need to provide. But if it's not a self-managed domain and you're not quite sure how to put that in, if it's from another source, just provide this to your domain provider and they should be able to get the information in there into your site so you can connect it to your domain. And then, of course, what you'll do after they've set that up is you'll just go ahead and put your domain name in this spot here, and then click Save Changes, and then that should make the connection between your domain and your 360 Unite site so you can start using your domain now. And again, the benefit of that is just it's branding for your church, makes things easier to find for your people. So you might have a really long church name for your subdomain, but you might have a shorter domain name that's easier to use for your congregation. Absolutely go ahead and do that if you have a domain, or if you have the account, your account has that domain already included with it. And that's, like I said, so domains extremely useful. And I would recommend your church, if you don't have one, definitely look into getting one. There, like I said, it does a lot of good for you guys. All right, moving on. We have Google Analytics next, and probably the best way I can describe this is reporting for your church website. So if you're trying to get reports to your church website, like who's visiting what page, or what pages are maybe not being visited as much, or how much time are people spending on your site, this is a great way to do this. So again, this connects with Google. So if you want to do this, you would come here to Google Analytics, and then you sign up at google.com. Again, I would recommend, much like your Google Calendars, that you sign up, and you can even sign up under the same Google account as your Google Calendars for this. You sign up under a sort of a neutral account that's not tied to a specific person. That way, if somebody leaves the church, you still have that neutral account that anybody can use for your church instead of just somebody's personal account. But you can click on this link here and sign up for Google Analytics with your Google account. And then it's going to provide you with an account number that you can put into here. And you want to check the box to enable Google Analytics. So then what that's going to do for you is that's going to give you access on the Google side to all sorts of statistical information for your website. And you can use this and you guys can utilize this information to kind of help you appear higher up in Google search results for your church. We don't have, and say nobody has direct control over those Google search results. So using these tools in Google Analytics can help you kind of identify ways to make your site more identifiable and show up more in search results. So definitely a handy thing to have. So you just, like I said, you just fill it, once you get your account number from Google, you just take that, fill it in here, and click Save Changes. Now, the last thing I want to touch on, we're only going to touch on this just briefly because we'll go into more depth about this tomorrow for integration. But if you have Shepherd staff, you can actually integrate your Shepherd staff data with 360 Unite. Now, 360 members automatically connects to 360 Unite, so you don't need to do anything special for that. But if you want to connect your Shepherd staff information, you can do that here. So there's the instructions right here, and you get this information, you can put it in Shepherd staff and connect it all up. But and what this does for you then is it will actually then carry people's information over into 360 Unite to help you use for your online directory. Very helpful again. So this, like I said, you can integrate with Shepherd staff, you can integrate with 360 members. We don't integrate with any other church management programs. So if you don't have either one of those, you will need to manually enter people into 360 Unite, which again, we'll go over tomorrow on how that works. So I'm going to go ahead and close that out. All right. Moving on here now. The next thing I want to talk about are themes. So themes are the general look and feel of your site. So when we click on themes here, it's gonna show you just some of the themes we offer here. So these first 12 themes are all preset themes that we offer inside of 360 Unite. So if you click on one, and they're all a little bit different from each other. They all have a purpose, all have a reason for being. So there's just different things about each one. So like if I click on, let's look at material here, for example. If I click on one, it's going to go ahead and show me that theme, and it's going to show me different presets for different ways this theme can look. So the theme itself is laid out a certain way, and then it's going to have different options for that theme. Now, material, you can see it gives you a brief description down here too, kind of explaining how, what that theme does. So you can see material keeps things clean and bright with a tidy design. Let me zoom in on this page too a little bit if I can. Let me just zoom in just a little bit so it's a little bit easier to see. There we go. So you can see material keeps things bright, clean and bright with a tidy design. It's designed for mobile use in mind. Allows a comfortable number of pages or categories in your navigation list. So you can upload your own header background image, and it gives you even the size you would need for that image there too. So it just gives you a couple different options for that. So let's say we want to switch to that theme. So let's switch to, we'll take this option here, click apply theme. So that brings us back to the theme here, and we'll close this, and you can see now our page has changed to that new theme. So you can see that changes over. But let's say, so we'll go back now though to our demo theme here. Pick that, and you can change it back, and you can see there it is back with its original theming. So you can see that there. Okay. So going back to themes here. So you can see there's a couple different ways. I think there's generally speaking, there's two overarching types of themes. There's what we call horizontal themes. So that's that's where you have this bar along the top, and you can see it gives you all the pages here. And there's also what we call vertical themes, and that's like the minimal theme here. So if I apply that, you can see the different here. Oh, let me pick that, and you can see the navigations here along the side. Let me switch back. You can see there it is. So you can see there's a kind of a difference there. And the biggest difference between horizontal and vertical themes don't allow for this sub navigation here. And we'll get into how to set that up here when we get to our pages. But vertical themes don't allow for the sub navigation, which is fine. Again, if your church is sort of their church's page layout is more of a simple design, vertical themes are great for that. But if you need a lot of sub navigation, you probably want to go with a horizontal theme for that. But you're absolutely free to choose any style you want. So lots of different options here for themes. I'm going to switch to the urban theme for just a minute. And I'm going to do that just so I can kind of show you a difference when it comes to customization. So I'm going to pick that here. All right. So let's then, when we look at this here, let's look at customization. So you can see when we customize a page, we get, it's going to depend on your theme what you can change here. So you can see there's a lot of different options here. So let's look at our navigation bar here. So if we want to change the color of this navigation bar, we can do that. Just simply click and you can drag this around. You can kind of see as we change colors, it'll change here on the side here, so you can see what it's going to do. Now what you might be noticing here is all these values are changing as we move the colors around. So I can move the slider up and down here. So maybe I want to make this a green color here. So you get two pieces of information. Number one, you get the RGB value. RGB, so red, green, blue, that's the mix of values that makes up that color. So you can see how that is. And so if you want to be more precise with your colors, if you have exactly the blended colors you have in mind, you can use these RGB values to punch in exactly what you want. So let's say maybe we want a value of, say, 100 red, 50 blue, 50 green, and 30 blue. And you can see you get that color there. So you can put in the exact colors you want. Also, you get a code here you can use as well. So this is a hex code for you. There's actually a lot of sites online where you can look up hex codes of certain colors. So if you find the exact color you want, you can get the hex value for the color and you can just type it in here and you'll get that exact color here you want. So you can get certain colors that way as well. And you want to think when you're building your site, you want to think about the color scheme of your site. So, for example, here we probably don't want to use this brown because it kind of clashes a little bit with the blue in the color of our site. Clashes with the blue in the text in our image here. So it's more just a design thing. It's not a hard and fast rule. You can certainly do it however you'd like, but so we probably don't want to use that. So let's go back to browse here. Let's switch next over to our wonderful cross theme here. Okay, so let's use that one instead. I'm going to pick this one. I'm going to apply the theme. You can see we get some different options here now too. So this one has background images, and you can change your background images that you want to use here. So this one, of course, has this background image built in, but maybe you want to change that image. You can do that. You can do that there, no problem. So browse, and then it lets you upload an image from your computer onto the site. So you can do it that way. All right. So looking next up here, I'm going to switch back to our, oops, hold on just a second, I'm going to switch back. Oops, sorry here. Going all over the place. Back to our demo theme here. Okay, you can see we're back to our original look. You can see that there. Okay, so let's look briefly now at the styles. So styles are basically what your fonts look like. So you can see there's two parts of this here. There's block styles, and that's like your headings. So you'd use those to put in the tops of your page, your headings here. And there's also inline styles, and that's actually like the body text of a lot of your pages. So it's actually we put in like your paragraphs and things like that. So what you can do with that then, if you want to change any of these, you click on one of the fonts. Let's use heading 2. So it's going to show you just a few things here. So first up, you can actually pick your font family. So we offer quite a few fonts here. So there should be an option you might like here. Now, if you want to use a different font that's not included in here, that can be done. If you want to do that, give us a call, and we'll try to get that in there, and we can get that figured out for you. But we give you quite a few different options. You can see what each one of those looks like. Let's use this Oswald font here. You can see that there. So it gives you a sample of what that's going to look like. Then you get font style. So this is gives you a few different options depending on your font. So you get the normal thickness of the letters. You can change it to bold if you'd like, or you can make it really thin as well here too. Okay, you got to choose your font size, and this is going to show you just in a drop-down list. It's going to show you all the different options you have for this. We'll use that 215 here. You might have also noticed the option here that says inherit. What that does, instead of choosing a size just to always stick with, instead what it'll do is it will kind of change its size to match whatever is around it. So if you want a font to be a style to be a little more variable in size, you can use the inherit option. So let's switch off to that. You have text decoration, so this is how you get the underline or a strike through if you want that. Okay. Then you can actually change the color of the font. And again, you get that same color picker that we had before for the customized section. So anything you want to change it to, so maybe I'm making a nice sort of a purpley pink type of color here. And click off of that, and then you can get the color there. Change that back though. Well, actually, you can see it changes here, but I'm going to go ahead and just change that back to black. All right, you can get a background color in the font. So if you want a background on the font, again, a nice purpley pink color, you can change that there. And then you also have margins and padding. So margins is the margin around the font. So this is basically how much space you have between it and when you're using this font, how much space you have between words and lines. So you can adjust that there. Then you have padding. What padding is actually the spacing between letters. So you have the spacing between individual words, and you have also the spacing between individual letters. That's the difference between margins and padding there. Okay. Finally, you can also put a border around your text too. So if you want to put a border in automatically, you can do that as well. So we can kind of, add that in. We'll make a solid border. You can see it gives you a border around there. You can adjust the thickness with this number here. Kind of stays stuck. It's kind of a sticky button there, so gotta watch out for that. So maybe it's a border of 5, and you can see it puts that box around the letters if you'd want that. Okay. Cancel that. I'm going to save any changes to that. You also have inline, so you have a few different options for your inline styles. So it doesn't have quite all the same options. So you can see it changes here a little bit as well. You might notice here too, there's a few options at the bottom. You can cancel, which just gets you out of this. If you want to delete the style, you can click the delete option. It'll get rid of it. Click the save option. It'll just save whatever you're doing. And then you have a save as option. So this is good if you want to take a font that you already have and you've made some changes to it, but you don't want to save over the font you already have. You want to start with the style you already have, but then to have kind of an offshoot of it, you can do the save as, and you can save that style to something else then. Okay. Now, if you want to build a completely new style, down here at the bottom right, you have the add style button. So you can add in a new style then at that point. So we'll use that inherit option. We'll use that. We'll go ahead and use so you have the inherit option here too. This will just copy the font of whatever's around it. But we're going to go ahead here. We'll use Francois 1, And you can do a font style. We'll do the inherent option here. Put an underline on it. We'll make it, let's make it a nice blue color here. Okay, and you have that there. It also gives you the RGB values here when we do that. So we click save. Oh, we need to actually name it. So we'll just call this sample inline. Saved it. And now you can see sample inline is a font option we have. Now, you might have noticed this little meter over here. This is the font load meter. You want to try to avoid having a lot of different fonts on your page, because the more fonts you have, the more information the site has to load in, and the slower things can load. The other downside to having a lot of fonts is it can kind of lead to a kind of a cluttered, kind of unprofessional look if you're using a lot of different fonts in a lot of different areas. So, as sort of a stylistic thing, you don't want to go overboard with the number of different styles you have. And it's more of just, it makes it look more professional when you just maybe stick to just a few different styles depending on what you need. So just a thought on that. Okay, now the advanced section. Now this is where this is if you have somebody at your church who's really just kind of an intelligent person with website design, this is where they can kind of start to stretch their legs at, because this is where you can actually add in lots of different custom options that maybe there's something specific they want to do that the tools in 360 Unite we offer just doesn't do exactly what they want. You can add in some custom things here. So there's custom headers and custom scripts. Custom headers will allow you to add in custom information to the header of each page, and these are CSS code when we're using this. So this is all CSS information here. What we did here is this is how we added in an additional font that we didn't already have, but there's other things we have here too. Just depending on what they want to do. Now, there's also custom scripts here too. So if you want to add in like custom JavaScript to your page, do something specific with your page, you can do that here as well. Again, this is not something you have to do. We give you plenty of tools inside of 360 Unite to make a page, but this is if there's something you want to do that you just can't do with the tools we have inside of 360 Unite, and you have somebody who's really knowledgeable, this is a place where they can start to build some custom options for you. All right, finally there's edit down here. Now you'll see we got a menu here, but let me switch back to another style real quick, one of our default styles here really quick. So let's switch back to, let's use the ribbon theme. And we'll click apply theme. Oops, pick a preset here. Okay. So we go to edit now. It's going to tell you this is a theme that belongs to Church360 Unite. You're not allowed to edit its files. You can create a copy of the theme that you'll have full control over. Would you like to do this? This is what's known as cloning a theme. Now, again, this is more of an advanced option for those who are really knowledgeable about building their own websites and website design. So this is something I would advise approaching with caution. But if you know what you're doing, absolutely, this is a great thing to do. So if you click clone theme here, it's going to give you an option here. So this is creating a theme based on the ribbon theme, and so you can rename the theme. So we'll just call this test theme. So you can click create theme then. Now you can also do this from the browse window. There's a save as option at the bottom of that, and then what that will do is it'll do the exact same thing as what we just did there. So we go back to themes now and edit. You can see we're going to get access to the code of the theme itself. So this is where you can make wide changes across your entire theme. You can also upload custom assets to your theme if you want to do anything with that. And so you can see, here's some things we have here as well, some images that we use throughout the site. So again, very advanced stuff here, but it's what you can do with it is pretty broad. So you have to kind of know what you're doing a little bit to use this, but it's certainly a option for you guys if you have somebody in your church who's really on the ball when it comes to website design. So that's going to lead us right into our break here. I'm going to go ahead and switch back to our demo theme. Close that, and you can see there it's all back. And so that's going to lead us, like I said, that's going to lead us into our intermission time. I'm going to really quick pull up our handy dandy timer here. Pull that up. All right, so we're in intermission. I'm going to go ahead and start that up. Now is a great time to ask questions. If you have any questions, myself or Rod will answer those. We're going to take a 5-minute break. We'll be back in 5. All right. Okay, welcome back, everybody. So I hope everybody had a fruitful break, good break, and everybody's ready to get back and get going on this here. So next thing we're going to talk about here today are pages. So let's take a look at that. So to open up our pages here, we can go ahead and just click on the pages menu up here at the top. So this is our pages menu. You'll see it's divided up into two columns. There's active menu items and available menu items. Active menu items are what show up here along on this bar. And you might notice when we look at this, you'll see that some here are on the margin and some here are indented. What that means is you can see here, like I'm new. You'll notice when you look at this over here and go to I'm new, you can see it has a sub navigation I was talking about before. That's under the category of I'm new, and then you have pages under it. So you can organize pages under categories to control your navigation. Now, the other thing you might notice about the active menu items is the order they show up in over here is the order they show up, the items show up here on this bar. So this is how we can control what order things are in. So let's say, for example, we wanted to have move our pastor page category up above ministries. You can do that, and you save changes. You can see pastor's page is going to be before ministries now. So this is how you can actually build and control the navigation of your site. I'm going to go ahead and just flip that back. If it's going to let me here, move ministries. Let's do it the other way around. We'll move ministries over up to here. Oops, actually moved it up a little bit too high. Okay, well, that's no problem. Anyway, that's fine though. So this is what shows up as active menu items. These are what's on your bar. I'm gonna just go ahead and close that. Close that, continue. There it is. Okay. So that's what shows up on your bar. The right side then is available menu items. So obviously then these don't show up on your bar. That doesn't mean though that you can't access them. These just don't have direct navigation to them. Now so you'll see like a lot of the groups are over here, and there's some other pages over here as well that don't have direct links to them. Now, if you ever want to move a page from your available menu items into your active menu items, it's no trouble to do so. You just simply click on the item, and you can drag it over to the spot that you want it in. You'll notice it gets a little gray outline here telling you where it's going to land. So you can see it's indented here right now, so it would go under the ministries section. But if you want it to be its own item, you can click and drag it over here to the left, and then you'll see it'll be its own item when we drop it in here. So I'll just move that back. All right, now you'll notice also under any of these items here, except for categories, which we'll get into that in just a minute, you'll see that it actually has a little link under here. So if you click on that link name, it just takes you to that page. So you can see that there. So we go back here. So that's our available menu item. So like I mentioned, these don't have a link to them directly, but what you can do is you can place links on your page to get to these items. You can also just type this information directly on into your address bar up here to get to that page. So if you want to get to the resources page and you know the URL directly, you can just come over here, go to demo.360ignite.com/resources, and that'll take you to the page, which you can see there's really not anything on this page, but it's an option we have here. So we can get to that there. Now you might have noticed there's a few icons next to some of these here too as well, like members only and draft. So first up we have members only. I'm gonna explain what that is. Members only means you have to be signed into your site, at least as a user, in order to be able to see that page. So this is great for information that you want to restrict to just your members. So maybe you have like a church council page and only members should be able to see that. That's fine. You can make it members only. And so you can do that here by making the page public. So maybe this digitized study, if we make it public, then it, whoops, Oh, well, sorry, that's a group. Never mind. Let's say this church picnic page over here. So you want to make this page, right now it's set to members only, but if you want to open this up to anybody, you can click on it. So it's highlighted, click public, and it takes away that members only designation from it. But if you want to make it a members only thing, then you click private, and it'll bring it back to being a private site. Now, the other option you see here is draft. What the draft view is used for is if you're still working on a page right now and you don't want it quite to be available for everybody to see because you're just not done working on it yet, or you're in the process of redoing that page and you're going to temporarily just kind of hide it, you can click this draft option here. So you can see it's the options that are publish and make draft. So we want to make this church times page. Let's say the worship times page here. We'll say, we'll make that a draft. I'm gonna save changes. And then how that works then, if I sign out, I don't see that page anymore here. I don't see the worship times page. But if I sign back in, so if I change that for on the I'm new here, if I change that back to publish and then sign back and then sign out again, you can see the worship time shows back up. So it's just a way to hide your information while you're working on it. And even users, regular users who sign in, won't be able to see those pages. It's only administrators and publishers and designers who would be able to see those pages while you're working on them. And we'll get into more tomorrow on the specific users and what they can do. But basically, it's just a way to hide things while you're working on them. All right. So next here in pages then, layouts just like that. They just control the flow of, this is the layout, this is the layout of your page. So going over a few other items, of course you can delete a page. If you want to completely get rid of a page here, like maybe this RStaff 2, we don't need a second RStaff page. We can click on it, we can click delete. It'll tell you one page will be deleted permanently. This can't be undone. We click delete, it just gets rid of the page. So then that page is gone. You don't have to worry about that one here anymore. Okay, and then finally you have the option to duplicate a page. What that'll do is exactly what it sounds like. It'll just take that page exactly as is and create a copy of it. So this is handy too if you're going to be just kind of redoing a page from the ground up, but you kind of want to have a sort of a skeleton of that page to work with. This will just take an exact copy of that page, and then you can put that copy into draft view, work on it, and then when it's ready, replace the old page with the new page. And this is so you can keep the old page up, so you have it up while you're working on it, and then when you have the new page ready, you can just swap that page in then. Okay, I do want to explain the icons here. So you have a better understanding of those, because you might be seeing these icons and wondering what those are. So this first one here is just a standard page. This is just a standard static page. It only has the information you put on it. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything special. It has the information that you put on it, and it doesn't change otherwise. The next one you have here is a calendar page, and you can see it's pretty unique in that this is the only calendar page. So you'll see that there's a little calendar icon on it. This is where your calendars are located. Next up, you're going to see a little square with a point on it option. That's what's known as a feed page. So these kind of act like blogs or different places you can put posts on. You can keep adding more information onto these pages and kind of have separate little posts on one page. Next up here, you can see the icon with the different people in it here. That is a directory page. That's actually where you have that online church directory, and that pulls information from 360 members or Shepherd staff if you've integrated your Shepherd staff information, or if you're not integrated with either one, it pulls information from this users section. And again, there'll be more discussion on that tomorrow. Finally here, the last thing you'll see is this icon, the person with a circle around it. That's a group page. And again, that's will be covered more tomorrow. All right. Let's say you wanted to add new pages. So if you want to add a brand new page, there's two options up here. There's add a category, which remember is a grouping of pages, but it's not actually a page itself. And then you have the add page button, which is actually a brand new page. So if you want to add we'll go over adding a category really quick here. When you add a category, it adds it to the active menu items over here on the left. You can't add a category to the available menu items because this simply just exists in the navigation. So let's call this test, click off of it here, and now you have a category that you can place pages under. So you can put that ministry under there, resources under there. Oh, there we go. Scroll down a little bit. So you can see those items are there under the test category. So when we save, close this out, you can see that test option shows up here. Okay. Move the items back over. So now if you don't have any items under a category, save our changes, it doesn't show up because it can't do anything on its own. And then if you want to get rid of a category, you just simply click on it and drag it over here to the available menu items, drop it in, and it disappears. So that's how you can add and use categories. Now let's actually talk about adding a page. When we click add a page, you get this window here that gives you a selection of different pages. So you can see there's a lot of different options here. So the first three are the main ones I want to talk about though. These other ones are just sample layouts for other pages you can use. So you can use these to give yourself kind of a jump start on building a page if there's a certain page you're going to build. But the first here are the ones I really want to talk about. So number one is just a blank page. And it's just what it says there. It's a plain old page. It's just a blank slate for you to work on to build a page. Simple enough. Next up is the feed page. And we just kind of briefly talked about this earlier when we were talking about the icons. That's where you can make blog posts or just general posts here where you can contain information and you can have multiple posts per page. And so that's really handy for a lot of churches will use these to post their sermons each week. And we'll get into that at the near the end of today's training here. Finally, you have group pages. And again, this is where you can add groups to 360 Unite. We'll go into more discussion on that tomorrow. Okay. So let's add a blank page here. We'll just call this test page. So add that there. I'm going to leave it in draft status right now. And you can notice when we added this here, it automatically generates the URL. So this is the address of the site. And URLs don't allow spaces in it. So any space, it just translates to a dash. So I'm going to add this page here. And I'm going to save our changes. Okay, so it's been saved. And we're actually going to use this test page here to show off what we can do with pages here. So as you can see, this takes us to our blank page. It's very simple. So if we click edit page here, this brings up our edit menu. So when we first look at this here, there's a couple different things we want to look at here on the left. The first of these is layouts, and layouts just control the flow of information on your page. So when we look at this here, there's 6 different layouts you can choose from by default. So you have first up just sort of the big open box option here. You have a 2-column option. You have a 2-column option where one's wider than the other. You have a three section page here. So you have sort of a header box and then a wider box here on the left, then on the right. The same thing, but just flipped. And then you have also an option here where you have a header and 3 columns. So this is kind of different ways you can arrange your page. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll stick with the 2-column option for now, 2 even columns. Now, again, you can control if a page is in draft view here or if it's published. Okay. You can change the URL. Remember the rules for changing URLs. First off, it's going to be all lowercase. And then second off, any spaces, you should just go ahead and put in a dash to change those. So let's say we want to change the URL on this to test page 1. We'll save it. And now you can see up here at the top, it's test page 1. And there's also the page title. And the page title is what shows up here in your tab. You can see that test page. So we changed this to lowercase to test page and saved it. Oops. Hold on just a second here. Go back to our test page. There we go. Save it, and you save it here now. You can see it shows test page in lowercase now instead. The last thing you're going to see here is a meta description, and this is what this does. This kind of is what your search engines read and display on the page. You don't just want to put a bunch of words in here and separate them with commas to kind of try to drive up your search results. That really won't work. What you want to do is you want to put in a descriptive sentence or two about what this page is all about. So we'll say this is a test page to demonstrate how to use the page options in Church360. Like it's spelled here, 360 Unite. We save that, and that's in our meta description now. So when this shows up, when this shows up in our Google search results and you look for that particular page, that's what you're going to see in those search results. This is the meta description here. Okay, so next up here, there's one thing I forgot to mention here. And we go back to our header one. Let me real quick do this when we talk about searching for pages. When we look at our styles here, let's turn on, let's go back here to our themes and styles. Heading one is very special. It's known as, H1. And again, search engines look for H1 styles on pages as a way to know what those pages are about. So you should use something on every single one of your pages that uses H1 to identify that page. So just a thought on that as well. So I'm going to close that out. Sorry. Okay, so that pulls that up. So that's the layouts here on the right here, and you can see here with the layouts next up here, it kind of the sizing of your page. Hold on just a second here. Let's turn our edit mode. Let's actually add in some content here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to very quickly go over to Google. We're going to get some lorem ipsum text, which is just kind of junk text we can use here. So let's do lorem ipsum here. Oops, generators. Oops. I'll do 5 paragraphs of it. Sure, why not? So we're going to copy that, come to our test page here, and paste that in. Let's add in, we'll add in a few instances of it. The reason I'm doing this is just kind of display text here. So when we minimize our page, now this is going to demonstrate something else here for us. You can see it's not quite doing that. It's not quite showing things correctly here. Let me save this and close this. You can see it's kind of cutting things off. And that's one of the dangers of using a clone theme. See, this clone theme was created before we added responsive design to 360 Unite. And what responsive design means is the page will change depending on the size of the window you're looking at it in. That really comes in handy, especially for mobile devices, which have a variety of different types of screen sizes. So that's one of the dangers of using clone themes is, you don't get necessarily all the updates we put out to themes as a whole. So that's kind of a vote in favor of using, delete that old theme here. It's kind of a vote in favor of using one of those default themes we offer here. So let's go switch over to the material theme here really quick so you can see this. So if we go back now to this page, refresh the page, you can see this actually then scales the page appropriately, so it's going to show you all the columns in here. Okay, so that's kind of a vote in favor of using the default themes. But again, the clone themes, it's just one of those things. If you want to have really a lot of degree of custom control, you can do that with. All right. So now let's get into the editing the content on your page, and you can see you have this big editor bar here that lets us do a lot of different things. So first off here at the top, you have a paste as plain text and paste from Word. So paste as plain text is just very simple. It just takes the text, drops it into the page, no special formatting to it. It's just the text. There's also here though, paste from Word. Now you can paste from Word and it will retain as much of the formatting as it can for Word. It may not be able to carry over everything just because some of the stylings in Word may not be compatible with the website. So it's something to bear in mind, but it is a way you can copy some formatting from Word into 360 Unite. Now these buttons are grayed out here, but you have copy and cut as well. So if we highlight the text here, you can see that it'll light up and you can have the option to copy that text or cut it. And of course, copying just copies it to your clipboard, and then cut takes it out of the page, but then puts it back in your clipboard. You have undo and redo buttons here. So if you click undo, it'll undo what we just did, or redo, it'll redo what we just did. All right, next up we have an anchor here. So to demonstrate this, I'm gonna put in an anchor at the top of the page. So we'll just call this top of page. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use our next item here to create a link. So we're going to create an anchor within this document. Oh, hold on just a second. Yeah, let's close that. So we have the anchor here. Call this top page. Let's save it. We need to save it first. So now we have this little flag here, and you can see that flag's not visible. We don't have our edit page on. So you have the flag here. Let's add a link here at the bottom. So we'll say top of page. Click and highlight this. We'll use this link option. We'll go into more what this link option can do. We're going to do an anchor within this document. That doesn't seem to be working properly. Well, okay. Well, what that's supposed to do, I apologize for that. We'll talk to our developers and see why that's not working. What that's supposed to do is that allows you to designate a point on your page as an anchor. And then what you can do with that then is create a link here at the bottom. You can create a link within your page, click on it, and it will take you back up to that spot on the page. So a lot of people on really lengthy pages down at the bottom, if they want a quick way to get people back to the top, they'll create a top of the page link here, place it at the top, place the anchor at the top of the document, and it'll scroll you back up to the top of the document very quickly. So just a thing you can do with anchors here. All right. Next up is the link menu. Now, the link menu is I think it's probably one of the most useful tools inside our editor option here. So now when you're building links, you can just click the link straight away, just in a blank spot. But the problem is you're going to get kind of an ugly looking link to whatever you're linking to. I always recommend doing this. I would recommend just clicking and highlighting what text you want to link, and then click the link icon here. So it looks like a piece of chain link. Now when we click that, that gives us a set of options. So you can create a link to another page or feed within your site. It gives you all of your pages here. Okay. You can link to another website if you like. So if you want to link to google.com, you could say www.google.com, and then you can pick how that appears. So you can have it open up in a brand new window. You can have it open up here at the topmost window. So not only does it put it on top on your page and then put it up top here, you can do it the same window as well, or you can do it in a parent window. So a couple different options on how you can link those. Okay, the anchor, which we talked about previously here. You can also do a file that users can download. This is another really popular option we have here as well. This is where you can actually place documents on your website for people to download and use. So if I click this blue upload button here, it's going to take us to a file sort of file explorer here on our computer. I have some items here on my desktop I can use. So I'm going to come over here. So a really popular example we might have is our church bulletin. So if we click our church bulletin here, you can add that on, and you can see it adds it into the assets upload to this page. So we want to use that, so we're going to go ahead and click on it so it's highlighted. We'll click OK, and we'll save it. And now you can see that's actually linked here. So if we turn off our edit mode, click on it, it's actually going to pull up a PDF. Now, PDFs are unique in that they can be read directly within your web browser, so it doesn't actually download it here for people. And this is really, and again, this is really useful because, you know, if you just want to have something that people can just look at quickly, PDFs are great for that. And the other great part about PDFs is you can't easily edit them. So somebody can't download it, make a bunch of changes, and easily use it in some other way. But if you do want to download the document after the fact, you can click this download option up here, and it'll download. Now, like a Word document would just download straight away because you can't read a Word document on your web page. Close that here. Let me refresh here. Brings back our edit page. All right, the last option we have here, I'm going to unlink. So there's the unlink option here that just kind of breaks the linkage we created. The last option we have here is an email address. So what this does for us is when we click on this link, we can then have it designate to open up whatever the email program is on that computer to send an email. So I could send this to my email, so jordan.bogart@cph.org. I can put in and then you can actually put in a default message or a subject and message into this. So we'll just say Sunday school, the subject line, and this is a test message. Click OK. And we're going to save it here. And then if I click on this, it's going to bring up, in this case, it brings up a sampler here for Outlook. It brings up the setup for Outlook because we don't have Outlook set up on this particular computer. But if you have like Outlook set up, it would pull up your Microsoft Outlook with the message ready to go for you here and then you can of course make any edits after the fact if you need to change the body of the message or the subject of the message or even who the message is sent to. But at that point, it'd be kind of strange to use that link. You could do that there as well. I'll go ahead next to that. Okay. Now like I said, I just want to let people know we are approaching that 11:30 mark, so I am running a little bit over here on time right now. If you are, if at 11:30 you guys are out of time, you can't stay any longer, that's okay if you leave. Like I said, we're going to send you out a recording of the message, not the message, but the recording here of what we talked about today. So you'll be able to see that recording if you can't stay. But I just want to warn people here in advance. We're within about 10 minutes of that 11:30 mark. So if you're running out of time, no worries on that. Okay. So looking here next, let's see. So we have our link menu. You can also add images to your page. So if I come down here and click this image option, this looks a lot like the link menu here. If you look at that blue upload button here, and I can do this, I can select an image off my computer. It uploads the image, so I click on it, click OK. And you can see, well, it uploads, but it tried to maintain the original aspect ratio, but it also tried to stick within this window. So as you can see, that's probably not the way we want to upload it. That's no problem though. Let's double click on it. Let's click Advanced, and then we can actually control how wide this is. So how tall and wide this is. And right now the aspect ratio is locked, meaning it's going to try to retain the original ratio width to height within that image. So if I change this instead, let's change it to 300 by 200. And you can see all of a sudden now it shows up in a more manageable size. Now the other way you can take this, instead of doing the 300 by 200, which is talking about the number of pixels, you could instead do a percentage. So like if you wanted to do, let's say 50% here, click OK. Then it's going to take up, you can see the width is going to be exactly half of the container it's in here. So you can do width instead here. So and when we did that, I didn't have to fill in the height because we're maintaining that aspect ratio. So it figures that out for us automatically. Okay, close that. So that was the image. You can upload audio files to your page. So this adds an MP3 player to the page. So I could bring in an audio file here, and you can see it's uploading up here. So if it's a larger file, it may take a minute. Now remember, the files we upload to your page use the storage you have on your page. So it's something to keep in mind. The other thing I want to mention on this is the absolute limit on how large a file you can upload. And it doesn't matter if we're talking audio, video, images, the maximum size of any one file can be 100 megabytes. So you might run into that problem. I especially see with audio and video files. If an audio or video file is over 100 megabytes, you won't be able to upload it to your page. Now, there are ways around that, and I'll get into that in just a minute, especially with video files. But if you're going to use the audio or video options here, the maximum size is 100 megabytes. So if I click on this here and click OK, you'll see that and insert a little microphone here while we're in edit mode. So we save this and turn off the edit mode. It actually gives us a little player here. And you can see, sorry about the noise there. You click on the play, then it actually has an MP3 player then as well. So then you can listen to whatever audio you uploaded there. So I'm gonna go ahead and just delete that. Video works the same way. You can just upload, choose your video. So I have a video right here. So that'll upload then, and you'll get a video player directly here on your page. Okay. Click on that, click OK. You got a little camera icon there for video. And that gives you a video player here where then you have the video. Okay, so you have that. Let me get rid of that. Finally, another option you have here is to embed media. Now remember I was just talking about, okay, 100 megabytes is the upper limit on this. So a lot of churches, they'll get their, they'll record a sermon, for example, and it's over 100 megabytes. It's just really large. Well, what you can do is you can actually upload, instead of uploading your video to 360 Unite, you could go to YouTube. So let's go to youtube.com here. And let's see here, let's go to Concordia Publishing House. And let's take an image here. So let's say, let's see. So let's take a VBS video here. So what you can do then here is click on the little share icon here. You can get an embed code here. And this is actually going to give you code then that you could copy. Okay. And then what you can do is come to the embed media option here, paste, click OK, and it's going to actually put the YouTube player here on your page. Now you might notice that it's a little bit wider than your frame here, so it's going to go off the frame. So what you might want to do, whoops, let me close that out here. Let's get rid of that. So you paste it in. You can actually adjust the width and height by adjusting these numbers right here. So let's make this maybe 250 by 150. Makes it really small there, but you can see you can resize that by using this option here. So the embed code is extremely useful for that. You can insert a table on your page. Now I'm going to tell you on tables, you probably want to avoid using those if you're gonna have people visiting your site on mobile devices, because tables and mobile devices just don't tend to get along. So I would recommend trying to avoid those if you can. But if you want to add a table to your page, you get this table menu here where you have a lot of different options on how you can build your table. So it's just an option you guys have if you like. You can also just insert a horizontal line to have sort of a line break on your page. You can see it's very faint there, but it will show up. And you can have that there. Okay. So the line break there you can insert. Go ahead and get rid of the video there. You can also insert special characters. Here's a whole list of characters you can insert. You can view the source code of the pane you're in here. So this actually lets you view the source of the page you're in right now, and it will show you all the different information here in the source of the page. So if you need to make some custom code changes to a particular part of your page, you can do that right there. Okay. You can pick different styles. So maybe you want to take this part of the option, this part of the image here, and you can see it'll change your header here. So you can change the different parts here. Undo that. You can actually access your styles menu here as well to view your styles. You can also just kind of quickly add some text changes here by making font bold, italicized, underlined, or strike through. You can add a numbered or bulleted list here. So you can add numbers, so number 1, test, number 2, test 1, number 3, test 2. So you can add those in. Or you can do, like I said, you can do a bulleted list. So you go test, test, and test. Have those there. You can also change the alignment of your text here. So you can see it allows you to move that text over. Now it doesn't work great with bulleted lists because the bullets are going to stick to the margin, but if you want to maybe center this text, you could center it, make it right aligned, or justify it there. You can also change the indent of something. So we want to maybe move the indent over just a little bit. You can do that. So that's how you can do that with bulleted lists. There's also a place where you can do block quotes. So if we basically make this a block quote here, you can see it changes it to that block quote style. And then finally, you can add a link to a group here as well. And we'll discuss that more tomorrow when we talk about groups. Okay, so I'm going to save this. That's all the page editing options we have here using the editor. So the last thing I want to talk about here are feeds. Let's go back to our pages here and let's go to a feed here. So what I like to look at here is the pastor's blog. Okay, so this is a feed page, and feed pages contain posts. So if we turn on our edit page, you can see come here, it looks pretty simple. It shows here's the title of a blog post. If we click on that, it's going to take us into that post. And you can see all that information there that you put in. But if you turn on the edit page, this takes us to where we can make a new post. And so I mentioned these are like blog posts. These are, and you don't necessarily have to use a blog post. Like I said, a lot of churches will use it for sermons to upload their sermons. Because you'll notice you'll have that same WYSIWYG, which means what you see is what you get, editor bar here. And you can set it so you have all the same options here. So we could make a nice test. We'll use test post here. Okay, and then you can upload, and you can upload audio, video. You can just write in information. This is a test post, and we'll upload. And you can actually upload things from other pages here too. So we could say, let's use Kalimba here. We upload audio, and then you'll have 3 options here. You'll have draft, which means it's in a draft view, much like other items that are in draft view. That means you can see it when you're logged in as an administrator or a publisher or something like that, or a publisher or a designer. Scheduled, and scheduled is a unique one here. You can actually tell it. You can actually write your posts in advance and say the posts are to go up at a certain date and time, and you can fill that in there. So you don't have to write the posts exactly as they happen. You can write a post and schedule it for later, or publish, which means it's ready to go right away. Okay. Now over here on the left, we have our settings. So much like other pages, you can change the URL on the page. You can also change the title of the feed, which is this up here. You have your meta description. You can control how many posts you can show per page, so it'll show 7 posts per page right now. But if you want to show more or less per page, because if you get down to the bottom and you have a lot of posts, you'll have a way to go to the next page of that feed. If you want to show post content here, we do that. We save it. We go ahead and create this and save it. It'll actually show the content of the post here if we turn on this show post content. So you can see that there. Turn that back off again. So otherwise, you can see with longer posts, it might clutter up the page some. Now, you might have also noticed here, when we come to one of these posts, there are comments. There's a comment section here too. You can control per feed if you're going to allow comments or not. So if you want to be able to have comments be allowed, you can check that box. If not, people won't be able to comment on posts. And you also have the option to moderate comments. So let's get into that and how that works. So we save this real quick. When we come up here to posts, this is going to first off show us all the different posts we have. So let's real quick, let me go back. I'm going to make a new comment here. We have our comment here. So let's say test and we'll post. So instead of showing up automatically when we have the moderation on, you'll see your comment's been submitted. So then if we go back up to post here at the top here, we go back here, refresh the page. And if we click on this, it should have, where did that go on me? Let's see, if we go to if we go to activity here, then it's going to show us comments that are ready for that are basically waiting to be reviewed for moderation, if you're going to allow that comment to happen or not. So if you want to have that on there, it's just a precaution so people aren't saying something crazy on your page and you don't want that to show. You can have the moderation option in there, and then you can pick a comment and say, I either approve this comment and then it'll show up, or you can delete the comment and then the comment will just be deleted and you won't have to worry about it anymore. So we can approve this and then come back to the page. So we can refresh it now and you'll see that comment show up there now. So that is posts and feeds. Now, when we look at these, it's the same idea. It's very similar to the pages view here in posts. You can come in here and you can say, I want to publish a post, and you'll be able to see the status here. You can publish it or make it a draft. You can delete a post if you want to get rid of it. So this is where you actually come to delete any posts that have been made. So we'll delete that test post, for example. And then there's finally an option here that says change feed. So let's say you're working on a post and you got done with it and you realized, wait a second, I posted that in the pastor's blog and it was really supposed to go in the sermons. Well, that's no problem. Just check the box here, click change feed, and then you can pick which other feed page it would go to instead. So very handy to save yourself a little bit of time if you make a mistake. It's a simple way to switch over. Okay, so with all of that in mind, that's going to bring us to the end of the training session here today. So we're ready to get in here with our quiz. So let me get over here and let's get into our quiz here today. So this is going to cover the content we talked about here today. Again, there's no pressure on this quiz. This is just, hey, just kind of refresh your memory about what we talked about. So let me go ahead and ask our first question. So first off, a domain name is a custom address that takes internet users to your website. So true or false? A domain name is a custom address that takes internet users to your website. So go ahead and answer that here. I'll give everybody some time to answer that. It looks like people are putting in their vote on what they think the answer is here. Give everybody just another few seconds here to answer. Okay, looks like we have a pretty good portion of us have answered now. I'm going to go ahead and close it. All right, so a domain name is a custom address that takes internet users to your website. And the answer to that is true. And everybody got that right who answered. So good job, guys. Domain name is an address that internet users can use to access your Church360 Unite website. Custom domain names can be purchased from a domain provider, so either from us or another domain provider, or if you have a certain level advanced plan or higher with 360 Unite, you get one of those for free and just need to contact us to set that up. Okay. All right, next up, themes control the design and color scheme of your website. So themes control the design and color scheme of your website. I'm going to go ahead and pull that up here. So tell me what you guys think here. True or false? Themes control the design and color scheme of your website. Wait just another few seconds here for anybody else to answer. Looks like the majority of us have answered now, so I'm going to go ahead and close the poll. So themes control the design and color scheme of your website. Another unanimous answer here, and the answer is true. So good job, guys, again. Each theme is different and has its own characteristics. Themes provide controls for fonts and other different website code. So you get a lot of different options here with your themes. Next up, making changes to the order of the active menu items in the Pages view will change the order of your main menu items throughout your website. So making changes to the order of your active menu items in the Pages view will change the order of your main menu items throughout your website. So true or false on that one, guys? Okay, give it just another few seconds for everybody to answer here. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close the poll now. Looks like most of us have answered. So again, another unanimous answer, guys. Making changes to the order of active menu items in the Pages view will change the order of your main menu items throughout your website, and the answer to that is true. The page order seen in the Pages view is the order your pages will appear in your main menu. Okay. All right, true or false? You are required to know HTML in order to make changes to a web page. True or false? So I'm going to go ahead and launch that. So you're required to know HTML in order to make changes to a web page. All right, looks like just about everybody has answered here. So I'm gonna give it just another few seconds, just see if there's anybody else. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and close that. So you're required to know HTML in order to make changes to a web page. Again, another unanimous answer, and the answer to that one is false. You do not need to know HTML. Church360 Unite uses a WYSIWYG, or kind of briefly talked about that earlier. WYSIWYG, so what you see is what you get editor that creates the HTML code for you. If you know how to code in HTML, you can absolutely do that. Please feel free to do so, but it's not required to create web pages. So you can use, if you know HTML, if you're familiar with HTML and feel comfortable with it, you can work in the source of your page to actually just build it that way. But you're absolutely not required to do that. Finally, last question here. Post can be scheduled to release automatically on a future date. So a post can be scheduled to release automatically on a future date. True or false? Okay, and wow, everybody answered pretty quick on that one. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. A post can be scheduled to release automatically on a future date. Okay, another unanimous answer, and that's true. Post can have a status of draft, published, or scheduled. If post is set scheduled, you'll want to enter an appropriate published date. Okay, well, hey, everybody was 5 for 5 on that. So congratulations, everybody. You did great on the quiz. So does anybody have any other questions in today? So if you have any other questions, go ahead and type those in the questions window. Myself or Rod will go ahead and answer those now. And that's some of the content we covered here today. We still do have another training session tomorrow on Church360 Unite. So if you want more information on groups and users and other information like that, please make sure to get here tomorrow. Like I said, I think Rod is teaching that class tomorrow, so you'll get to hear from him. And so yeah, any questions, just go ahead and put those in the questions window, and Rod and I will answer those. So, all right. Okay. So any questions? So adding a picture to a page, can you wrap the text around the picture? Yeah, you can. It takes a little bit of coding know-how, but if you want to give our support line a call on that, Ruth Ann, give us a call. We can help you do that if that's something you're looking to do, because that will require us to kind of dig into the source just a little bit on that, but that's something that can be done. Okay. Parallax scrolling. John, I can't say I'm familiar with that concept of parallax scrolling, but if you want to send that in as a question to our support line, which is that support@cts.cph.org, we can look into that here for you and see if that's an option for you guys. But yeah, I'm not in particular how to do that. Do groups have to make their own calendar, or can we do it? That'll get into our groups tomorrow. So I don't want to go too deep into depth on that. But groups do each have their own calendar. So yeah. Can you add a Facebook Live video to the website? If Facebook can provide you with an embed code, we can absolutely go ahead and embed it to. You can absolutely go ahead and embed that to your page. Okay. Any other questions here today? Leave it open here just a little bit. Okay. Well, I want to thank everybody for attending today's Church 360 Unite webinar. So we hope you guys enjoyed the session. You learned a lot. But if you have other questions, please contact us here at our support line number, 1-800-346-6120, or you can email us at support@cts.cph.org. And people sign up for events on the website, and those get sent to a staff member. That's something, again, that'll be covered, I believe, more in depth tomorrow here with Ann. All right, well, hey, again, I hope everybody enjoyed the session. I'm going to go ahead and close the window. I'm going to go ahead and close the webinar now. But if you do have any other questions, just go ahead and give us a call or email us here. And I hope everyone has a great day. Can Unite do member call or text? No, it cannot. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and close the session now. Everyone have a great day.